A factory worker's son went from living in public housing projects to buying out a small coffee shop to growing his newly acquired company to over 6,804 stores in China alone. This is Howard Schultz, the previous CEO of Starbucks. Schultz started with nothing but his company and some motivation. He grew his company from only 20 stores to 38,038 stores globally. However, this was not all sunshine and rainbows, as Schultz exploited the people at his coffee shops to work for him at low prices while Schultz reaped the rewards of his pricey coffee. On top of that, allegedly Starbucks' coffee farms had slavery-like conditions as they used child labor and human trafficking to gain more profit. Schultz's factory-working father would have been very disappointed in his billionaire child. However, this isn't just about Schultz. The only reason he was able to benefit from people working in other countries was through globalism. This is the story of globalism and how it shaped the lives of many people across the entire world. On one hand, people like Schultz prospered and made billions of dollars. But on the other hand, millions of people lost their jobs in the United States, and millions more in third world countries were forced to work in poor working conditions for low wages. Globalism is a double-edged sword, allowing for faster shipping and cheaper products, but the same countries that can act so kind can turn on others in a catastrophe. Let's just sum it up real quick. If globalism didn't exist, you wouldn't be watching this video right now. But if globalism is so good, then why does the US government want to bring back production into their own country? Hi, I'm Exciting Academics, and today I'm going to teach you about the rise, fall, and collapse of globalism. This video took a lot of effort to make, so make sure to subscribe if you'd like to see longer and more informative videos like this. With that being said, let's begin. Globalism really started to take off after the end of World War II, after countries realized killing people wasn't fun anymore. They devised a peace treaty, formed alliances that would prevent people from going to war. However, some leaders didn't like this truce. Countries like India and China were jealous that the West got a chance to profit from having tons of colonies in the 19th century, but according to the rules, now they couldn't just invade a random country. This has caused resentment to build up within these countries against the Western powers. However, that couldn't stop globalism from its inevitable success. A group of people called the World Trade Organization decided to do something that would change the world forever. They convinced many countries to lower or remove their trade tariffs entirely. Tariffs are taxes based on item. For example, if I got an apple from China before this deal, then I would be paying more than if I got one in the United States. However, once the WTO convinced these countries to remove their tariffs, the apples became the same price. This caused many companies like Nike to outsource their manufacturing processes to other nations, causing millions in the United States to lose their high-paying factory jobs. Since people in poorer countries were willing to work for less, the companies could profit even more by outsourcing their labor. Even worse, many generations of families worked at the same factory. Since this work was manual, people who worked at factories usually didn't have a college education. That meant after the factories were gone, entire families couldn't find any good job that could suit them. Although millions of people have lost their jobs, there are still some positives of globalism. Firstly, prices have gotten a lot cheaper. Things like flat-screen TVs have gone down in price by over 16%. Even some things like phone chips wouldn't be possible without globalism, since all of these chips are produced in Taiwan out of materials that are mined in the Congo and assembled in China. This shows how much globalism has made way for the accessibility and inexpensiveness of products. Secondly, this has allowed for nations to specialize into something specific. Instead of doing a bunch of things poorly, they could just focus on doing one thing, like mining oil, or in Japan's case, building small minifigures and technology. Finally, it has allowed for more cooperation of countries. Although Russia is currently at war with Ukraine and China is eyeing Taiwan, there hasn't been a massive world war for decades. Hopefully one doesn't happen soon. On top of all that, the internet has made the speedy growth of globalism even faster. Without the internet, YouTube wouldn't even exist. At least, we'd still be touching grass. Over 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost and nearly 20,000 factories were closed in the US because of globalization, which made once rich areas of the United States like Georgia and North and South Carolina go into irrelevance. This shows how much people have lost from globalization. On top of that, large chain companies like Walmart came in and wiped out many small shops, making the already suffering Southeast even more destroyed. Although what happened was devastating, there was much more to come. In late 2019, the coronavirus, or COVID for short, started its rapid spread across the human population. It started in China. You don't have to be worried about it, right? It's only in China? Wrong. Like billions of tiny glitches in the matrix, COVID spread, and spread, and spread, infecting more people, until it reached the United States, until it reached the factory workers. They were out of jobs, no college education, struggling, diseased, and even if they did have business prior, they were taken by Walmart or other similar corporations. The US needed some way to stop COVID from spreading, so they created the lockdown. People must only go outside if necessary and wear masks to prevent the spread of diseases. Now, if a factory worker managed to create a business and hang on by a thread, they were also done for, as the lockdown had just happened. However, this is only what was happening inside the US. Outside the States, China was refusing to sell people the high-quality masks for a long time, since they needed it for themselves. However, this was a time of disaster, and people shouldn't be greedy in disasters, and instead help out others. So while people in America suffered from inferior cloth masks, people in China reaped the rewards of doctor-quality masks. Although this might have meant more for China in the short term, this showed that foreign governments will care more about their people in times of need, instead of helping others. This could lead to countries not trusting each other as much, and in turn potentially leading to a collapse or recession of the global trade market, removing what the countries who designed the deal formerly wanted. The American government saw this and decided to take action. The American government signed an act that could change the world, the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, its name is very misleading. Instead of being an Inflation Reduction Act, it is actually a bribe companies into moving factories to lower southeast of the United States with lots of money act. $225 billion to be exact, the largest investment of money into renewable energy and clean manufacturing the US has done ever. This will incentivize companies to move their factories from overseas to those areas where people lost their factory jobs years ago. This should hopefully make factory workers feel at least somewhat satisfied. However, there still are some downsides. See, this act doesn't only take factories out of rival countries, it also makes goods from friendly nations more expensive. This is because the act added tariffs to all external trade, so even friendly companies outside the US couldn't compete. This made the European Union feel betrayed since they had done nothing to anger the United States. On top of that, nationalism could be clouding the US's views, making them make unruly decisions. For example, the goal of global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius in the next 100 years is only possible with the cooperation of China. If the US only produced solar panels in their country, people wouldn't meet that goal. It is certain that this act will cause globalism to decline and help the factory workers finally regain their jobs. In conclusion, globalism has many sides. It is allowed for new technologies. It is allowed for free and inexpensive trade. It is allowed for cooperation and peace between many nations. However, globalism has also ruined the lives of many. It has ruined the factory workers' lives when factories outsource their work. It has allowed for greedy nations to warp the rules of globalism to take advantage of others. It has destroyed the lives of millions of outsourced factory workers who work in unsafe and uncleanly working conditions. But there is still hope. The Inflation Reduction Act, if pulled off correctly, could save everything. I'm Exciting Academics, and if you like this video, make sure to subscribe. Also, if you like this video, make sure to watch this video that's about how loot boxes take advantage of kids.